friends. Welcome to Indigo's Ideas with Mama Dawn. So today we're going to dig deep with Mama Dawn, also known as Dr. Dawn, also known as Mama Omiladè. It's really all about what you feeling today. Which name you call me. How about that? I'm either Mama Dawn, Dr. Dawn, or Mama Omiladè. You decide how you're going to respond to me when I talk to you, okay? So it's just me today. We're in the booth, me and you, and we're just going to dig a little deep today and talk about becoming. But first, I must acknowledge my people. I am Dawn Hicks Tafari. I'm the mother of Day and Niani. I'm the daughter of Diane and David Hicks Jr. I am the granddaughter of Joan and Charles Miller and Zudi Wilson and Clara and David Hicks. I am the great-granddaughter of Jesse and James Campbell, Woodson and Ada Barnett, and London and Narcissus Higginbottom. I am the great-great-granddaughter of Penola, John Henry Campbell, Frank and Rachel Higginbottom, Nancy Barnett and Anderson Thompson, Francis and George Cox. I am the great-great-great-granddaughter of Cornelia Rice, Alexander Cox, Delcy and James Allen, Samuel and Matilda Barnett. I'm the great-great-great-great-granddaughter of Lucy and Foster Hackney. I am because they lived. Ashe. So, becoming me, becoming Dawn, becoming a woman, becoming all of the things that I desire to be is what I want to talk with you about today. Today we're going to cover like 5 chapters. I like to organize our chats into chapters. And so the first is the wound, right? And so when I was 44, I'm 52 now, happily. In 2026, I'm 52. I experienced a break in my marriage. That I had been married. I got married in 2000, so that was 2018. So I was married for 18 years. And I like to think about marriage. Well, when I think about my marriage, I say my marriage was great until it wasn't, right? And so I have no bad words about my ex-husband. But that was a very difficult time deciding to end the marriage and deciding to be a single mother at 44. Marriages end for all kinds of different reasons, right? Everybody has their own reasons why they may decide that a marriage is not working. And at the time, just stuff happened. I'm not going to get into all of those things, right? But what I want to just talk about is how difficult that was. I remember being in pain and looking emotionally and looking in the mirror and saying to myself that I should stay because who's going to want a 44-year-old woman with 2 children? Let that sink in. I said that to myself in the mirror. And I looked at myself and I cried. And I really just had to have a conversation with myself. I had a conversation with myself, and not necessarily in that moment where I knew the answer was, oh no, girl, you got this. I wasn't there, right? I wasn't there. I was in a lot of pain. I was very sad, and I was really trying to make an incredible life-changing decision, right? Do I stay or do I go? And so that took a lot of work. It took calling on my village. I'm grateful that I belong to a beautiful village where I have friends that I can talk to, intimate friends that I can share with, who give me sound advice. They don't just tell me what I want to hear. They help me keep it real, And so through that moment, that's what I did. I have friends who, a couple of good male friends, and one in particular who said to me, can you afford to end your marriage? which is a real question, right? And I appreciated that. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm paying all the most of the bills anyway. Um, and I think two different brothers asked me that. My cousin asked me that too. And I remember considering, right, because those are the logical things that you have to think about when you are making that kind of life change, right? How will you navigate financially? Now, obviously, not obviously, but thankfully, I was in a situation where that did not hold me. So I was able to lean on the emotionality of it. What did I need, and what was I not getting, and how did I need to heal from the pain and the hurt? And for me, it was that I needed to leave, right? I needed to leave the marriage. And so that was hard. And I think I said that was hard. And I can't say it enough. And I remember I used to do these days of dawn on Facebook where I count down to my birthday. And so what I used to do is when I turned 40, I started it when I turned 40. And my mindset at the time was I need to earn 40, right? 40 is kind of like this window into elderhood, especially for Black women. It's life changing. And I wanted to make sure that I was living a life that was worthy of elderhood. And so one of the things that I felt, there were two things. One was I needed enhanced transparency, right? My sister Nia told me that I was so closed off at the time, and that I needed to let people in. And so I thought, okay, let's let the people in, right? And then the other thing was I felt spending time reflecting on the lessons that I have learned in my life would be helpful as well. And so I decided to have one day for each year of my life that I was earning. And I did my first one was the 40 Days of Dawn, right? And it's the hashtag 40 Days of Dawn that I did on Facebook. And so 40 days before my birthday, I started reflecting, and I did it again in 40, because it was great for me. It felt so good and so healing. And then I did it again, and it was great for my friends, right? Like people, I was sharing these intimate things about myself and about my life journey and the lessons that I've learned. And people were like, wow, people appreciated it. They could relate to them. I was getting all kinds of inboxes and everything. And so I did that every year. I think I missed a couple of years, but I did 41 Days of Dawn. I don't think I did 42 or 43, but I'm pretty sure I did 44. I know I did 45. I did, several of them. And I remember posting probably in the 45 Days of Dawn about, the dissolution of my marriage. And I got so many inboxes from women saying, oh my God, I'm in a place in my marriage where I'm trying to decide to leave, and you just gave me the strength to leave. I remember one sister calling me and telling me that I gave her the strength to leave her husband. And I was like, Lord have mercy. I don't want to break up. I didn't want to break up marriages, but what was happening was that women were seeing my courage, and they were inspired by that. And that was not what I set out to do, but that was because I was brave enough just to be transparent about what I was going through, how I was feeling, and how I was navigating that. And that's what I'm doing with you today, right? It's just sharing a little of that as well. So I went into a little more detail about it, and I with those women and the women who contacted me. I mean, when I tell you my inbox was on fire, and not from people trying to date me, but from women saying, "Oh my God, I'm in this difficult place, and your posts gave me some hope, or inspiration," or and some of them decided to stay, and some decided to leave, and that was the beautiful thing, right? I even had a crew. There were like 3. I joined a divorce support group at the time as well. I had gone to a doctor, and she looked at me in the face, and she was like, you should talk to somebody, and I guess the pain was walking with me. I was carrying it. And I joined a Facebook support group, right? It's like a Black women's divorce support group, which was also very life-changing, really, really helped me to find community amongst other women who were going through divorce, which is if you are doing that, if you are in that space, if you're in any kind of painful place, I encourage you to find community. And that community can sometimes be on social media. You know, there's all kinds of closed support groups. So that group for me really helped me because there was a place where I could post, I could read other people's posts, could find community. We did things. One of the things I love about that group was we would give each other, we did like secret gift exchanges, right? For different holidays. Mother's Day gift exchange, Valentine's Day gift exchange, holiday gift exchange, winter holiday, Christmas gift exchange, which was really nice, right? Because when you think about when you're newly single and you're battling the grief of losing a relationship, that's one of those things, gifts around those holidays, right? Nobody wants to see Valentine's Day coming when you are newly single, right? And especially if you have children with this person, nobody is excited about that first Mother's Day either. And so in the group, the women made it really nice, right? They made it much more palpable to navigate those holidays just from, meaningful gift exchange. And it wasn't expensive stuff. Sometimes it was just cards. It was just kind notes and things like that. It was really something. So the wound was that was a difficult time, right? And I keep saying that because that's all I can say. But it was a time that I was able to navigate with support by activating my village. And I will say that, I've said it before, and I will always say that having a village and being a part of a village is one thing, but activating the village is the most important thing that you can do for yourself and for your community and for your family. Because you can say, hey, that's my people, but if you don't call on them when you need them, then what good are they? And if they're not showing up for you when you need them, what good are they, right? You show up for other people. You need to make sure you give people the space and opportunity to show up for you. So I was grateful I did that because my people showed up for me in a big way when I was struggling, right? And so one of the ways that a friend of mine once said, in jest, you get over somebody by getting under somebody else, right? It is crazy. That is the craziest thing. But sometimes it is true, right? Sometimes we need to get out there and feel sexy and fresh and brand new again. So one of the things in my next chapter in becoming was actively dating. And I would talk about that. I would tell my friends I'm actively dating. I had decided, I had been married 18 years and, with the separation and all that stuff. So probably partnered, 20 something years. I had decided I was going to actively date. I was going to date, and in my words, how men date, right? That I was going to date how men date. And what that looked like to me was being honest and open, but keeping all of my options open until I was very clear about who and if I wanted to settle down. Right. So what I did was I went on Facebook dating, which was new at the time, Facebook dating. And I think I was on Plenty of Fish too. Yes, just those two. And I laugh about it now because you get characters, but you also get cool people. And my thing is people talk about dating apps and they talk about how yucky they are. And then I'm like, yeah, but you're on it. So that was my philosophy. I was like, well, if I'm on it, I don't feel like I'm crazy. Maybe there's other people like me on here, right? Everybody on the dating apps can't be crazy if you're on it. So I went on a Facebook dating and Plenty of Fish, and I met some people and I made some friends, and I was actively dating. So I would, agree to meet up or talk on the phone or not FaceTime, but video chat. And then right around that time though, the Rona happens, right? And so we get shut down. And so you think about the timeline here. And so nobody can touch and be close and they're 6 feet apart. We have a social distancing and all the things. So it was really, really cool, kind of. Not the Rona or the shutdown or anything like that. Not that. I'm talking about I was able to actively date without any of the pressure of sex, right? Or even any kissing, touch, or anything like that. I didn't have to navigate that, which, we all know, especially women and femme folk, that sometimes, mass folk and men can be a little, can pressure there, right? We all know that that's a whole thing. So it was really nice to actually be forced to just have these deep conversations, deep, lengthy conversations, spend a lot of our time talking. And so at the time, I was getting to know several people. I was keeping track. I had like a little scoreboard I would share with my friends. It was hilarious. We I'm not even going to get into that because y'all going to think I'm horrible. But, I would share like, okay, this happened on this day, this happened on this day. But I would, talking to different people, and I would meet up with something I like to call Rona dates, right? So during COVID, I would say, okay, let's meet up at a park. And we would meet up at a park, and then we would just walk and talk. And I remember I went on a date with this one guy, and we met up at the park, walked and talked. And then we said, okay, let's go get something to eat. We got in our separate cars. We went to a store and got some food and sat in the parking lot in our cars, like, a few feet apart, and ate our food in our separate cars and talked. And I thought it was so cool. When I think back on it, it was like, wow, what a time that we were having back then with the dates. But I had several people that I was seeing like that. I remember my birthday came, it's just in May 10th. And I got like a couple of different gifts delivered, right? With flowers and roses and gifts. And I remember my daughter saying, who are these from? And I was like, oh, my different dates, right? It was such a fun time. I felt so adored. And I might have been at most, I think I might have been kind of talking to maybe 3 different people at once. And again, everyone knew I was actively dating, and the thing that also was really fun was that I would communicate very clearly and openly about how I was feeling and whether I felt it was going anyplace, right? So for instance, I remember there was one guy I was talking to, and we were supposed to go out. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what made me decide. So we were supposed to go out, and he was supposed to come pick me up, and I think we were going on a picnic or something like that. No, we were supposed to meet and have a picnic, because that's right, this was kind of during the Rona. We were supposed to meet somewhere and have a picnic. So he texts me, and he's like, oh, something's wrong with my car. Can you just come to my house? I'm like, dude, we are not doing that. What just happened here? What happened to my picnic in the park? Right? Now you want me to just come to your house? And I was so turned off. When I tell you I was so turned off by the last minute change, it felt sneaky to me. It felt weird. And a few days after that, I just sent him a text. And I was like, I've just been really thinking about it, and I don't think we're compatible. So I wish you well, but I'm good here, right? I didn't say it exactly like that, but I did say that I didn't think we were compatible. And he was, he had some questions, and I just said, no, I think I'm okay if we just remain friends, but I'm no longer interested in dating you. I'm no longer interested in pursuing something romantic with you. And I think he was shocked by my honesty and my candor, right? Because people nowadays like to ghost. And I've never been a ghoster. I think ghosting is rude. I mean, if somebody's being abusive, you do what you have to do, right? But in that situation, it wasn't that. So I just told him. And I would do that with people. I would just say, oh, this is not working out. I'm thinking about putting my energy into somebody else. I would say that. And it was a great time, a really fun time, just actively dating. And I know that the dating world, and I'm not here to give dating advice because, Lord, I don't have enough of it to really, enough experience there to really give advice. But that was a really fun time for me, especially with the kind of the protection of the pandemic, being able to keep kind of a physical distance and just really get to know people, it was like a return to the old days, right? Where you spent hours on the phone talking, and there wasn't this rush to physical intimacy. It was really, really nice to be able to build that. So that was a good time. And I did eventually settle in with someone in particular. But one of the things I also did during the pandemic was I really started to write a lot of poetry. And I've always written poetry throughout my life. Um, I, was a rapper when I was younger, as y'all know. And and so I've always enjoyed poetry. So I have books filled with poetry. When I was dancing with Lisa, she saw me. When I wrote, I would just grab whatever piece of paper I had, an envelope or something like that, and write my poem because I wanted to get it out. And she saw me do that one time, and she was like, "I'm gonna get you a book." So she bought me this journal, and she wrote in it, "No more envelopes. You have a creative light." And so I filled that book up since with poems, and I still write wherever I can. I keep some of them in my phone and in my email and things like that. But I wrote a lot during COVID as well. Mm, Josephus, my friend Josephus Thompson, he does these poetry cafe, and he was doing them virtually during COVID, and that was really cool. It was a really fun community that we built there. So I would get to share, do some kind of open mic poetry stuff. And I was writing I thought about sharing one with you today, but one of my favorites is called The Rona Blues. And it's really grown. I wouldn't call it X-rated, but it's very R-rated. And so I think about it. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear the poem. Maybe I'll share it. But I don't know. I'll think about it. But it's juicy and saucy and all of the things, and fresh, all of the things. But I really enjoyed writing poetry. So that was a really big part of my becoming, right? Channeling that energy into poetry, especially during that time when I was trying to figure out who I was as a, not just as a woman, but as a partner, right? As a woman in a relationship, right? Because here is this major relationship that was a large part of my life, most of my life, that was now over. Trying to figure out what was next was a really big thing. And so, like I said, I spent this time actively dating. And what was beautiful about my active dating period was also that I dated all kinds of people, right? All kinds of people, men, women, um, men who were blue collar, men who were white collar, right? Men, all kinds of people, women who were blue collar, right? All kinds of people. And that was really interesting. Women who were white collar, right? And that was really interesting for me because I'm highly educated. And so my ex-husband is highly educated. And so, as we all know, when we're engaging in relationships and in community, sometimes you can be around the people who are like you. And so I really wanted to see what it was like to date someone. And it sounds crazy as I'm saying it, I know. But, who worked in a factory, and had a high school education. And he was a good guy, right? He was a good guy. He was a nice guy. We just, kind of bumped heads and didn't agree on some things and realized we were not really compatible. But it was a great time, and I'm glad I gave myself that opportunity to really just explore who I was as a dating person, right? As a dating person, and what kinds of things I liked and what kinds of things were important to me and what kinds of things were not tolerable. That's super important. And as I grow and become more of who I am, that's always part of the conversation, right? You never really figure it all out, I think, because when you do, you die, right? I think that's what life is. Life is a series of lessons. Life is a series of lessons about who you are, how you are, and where you are and why. Right? Life is a series of lessons answering all of those things. The interesting thing is when I did decide that I was ready for love, I, one of the people I was kind of actively dating at the time actually met on Plenty of Fish. But she was saying all the right things, right? And she was very different from me. Just a different, I'm very, African culture, African clothing, barefoot, this what we doing, Kwanzaa, all of those things, right? And she was very, you know, DC elite, that kind of black upper class kind of a person, the certain kind of shoes, you got to have a certain shirt, you got to have a certain car, which was nothing wrong with who she was as a person, but we were very different. And I thought, okay, this could be nice and I could learn some things and she can take care of me. I was looking to get taken care of. I'm going to be honest. I was hoping to be taken care of. But it didn't work out, and I'm glad it didn't, because we just had some compatibility issues, as you can imagine. But the interesting thing is when we first got together, she talked very quickly about marriage, and I was like, okay, I was willing to kind of just go with it, because at that point I felt like I was ready to settle down again, but I wasn't ready to settle down. I was settling because I thought, so I found somebody nice who wanted to be with me. And I was like, well, I might as well. I've played around long enough. I might as well. And in retrospect, that's a really kind of yucky place to be, right? It's a kind of yucky place to be. But it was necessary. It was necessary for my growth. It was necessary for my becoming, right? Who I am today and who I will be eventually. And I remember leaving that relationship and then taking a little break and then going into another one and actually getting engaged, right? Thinking, okay, this is my person. And that quickly, and that was, what was really interesting about that relationship was I had decided, and this is against every aspect of my Taurian sensibility, that I was going to ignore all the red flags. I had decided that I wanted to just give it a chance. And I had decided that I wanted to just try something new. I wanted to throw caution to the wind. I wanted to just have fun and go with it. Like, you hear the stories of people all the time who meet somebody and they get married in 30 days, or meet someone and they get, I wanted that kind of story. And I wanted to, again, just throw caution to the wind and just be fun and spontaneous. So we got engaged and was planning a wedding. And then I quickly realized, oh, this is not going to work. So I delayed the wedding and just continued to delay wedding plans. She didn't get along with my daughter, my youngest daughter. It was constant fighting. It just, and then I found myself stuck in a relationship that I really kind of literally couldn't get out of. Like, it was, I felt like a prisoner in that relationship because I had ignored, and I take credit because I had ignored all the red flags, right? I just said that I had ignored it. I was going with the flow. I thought I was having a good time, and then I found myself like, yeesh, yikes. And so that was really a difficult time, right? Here I am deciding I'm ready for love after having been divorced. I'm navigating the relationship post-marriage with my ex-husband, which what my goal was to be friends, right? And his was as well. And we were doing well with that, really, talking to one another every now and then, being able to laugh, talk about the children. And so I was really glad for that. That person that I was in a relationship with had a real issue with that, but that was another red flag, right? So again, that relationship ended. But one of the things that I learned during that period was, just because you're ready for love doesn't mean you're ready for love, right? Just because you're ready for love didn't mean, just because I said, okay, I'm ready to settle down, didn't mean that I knew how to do it best, right? And I don't, and I say that, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. I just know that I felt like I was ready, but I was, it's bringing me to Saturday Night Live and looking Panub in all the wrong places, right? It was buckwheat, Eddie Murphy as buckwheat. But I don't know if I was looking for in the wrong places, but I just definitely was settling. And because I was ready, it was like the next person that comes is going to get it, right? It almost felt like that. And that wasn't the way. That wasn't the way. I definitely know that now. And thankfully, I knew enough in the moment to apply the brakes, right? When it was like, okay, Dawn, you about to get caught up here. So don't do that. So that was an important part of my becoming, right? Um, and then I think about what it looks like to ease into tomorrow, right? That's the last segment I want to talk to you about, easing into tomorrow. So choosing me, choosing me, not just, oh, I want to be married, oh, I'm ready for love again. Like choosing to be partnered with the person that I want to be partnered with, right? Um, who kind of, she kind of came and rescued me from the previous relationship, but choosing to be partnered in the way, in the manner that I want to be partnered, that works best for who I have become and who I am becoming, right? Choosing to have a lifestyle that I love and enjoy, right? I love to travel. And the honesty, when I first got into my current relationship, I was very honest. Like, look, I love to travel and I travel for business and I travel for pleasure. And that's something that I'm always going to do, you know? And we got to have those kinds of conversations when we enter relationships. What are we looking for and what we're not, what we want and what we don't want, right? And not just the surface, like, hey, I like cookies and I like um, Kool-Aid, right? Cookies and Kool-Aid, but the real things about you that are important. And so, and I love to travel. I do. I love to travel. I've been to, over the past, since I have been divorced, I have been to Bali. I have been to, listen, I've been so many places I can't even think about. New Orleans, Puerto Rico, um, Hawaii. I've been, different parts of the country, of course, the states, New York and stuff like that. California, LA. LA is like a different state than California. LA is a state all itself. I said New Orleans, I did. So I've been doing some beautiful traveling and I really love it. And I want to continue Trinidad and Tobago. I want to continue to travel. That's an important part of me because seeing the world. Oh, South Africa. Yikes. How could I forget that? I've been to South Africa, Cape Town, and being a part of the global community, right? Like that's who I am when I think about who I am and who I have been becoming all of my life is part of this global community, which means I need to see the world. I need to experience it. I need to taste different foods. I was in China too. I've been to China. And I need to see what's out there, right? And that's all part of who I am, my humanistic sensibility. It's all a part of my humanistic sensibility. And so that starts in a relationship, but it also is about who I am as an individual. Because if you can't show up as your individual self in a relationship, then man, what are you doing? Right? You don't, I refuse to shrink in a relationship. I refuse to be who somebody else wants me to be. I can only and will only be my full authentic self. Right? And I like to say I'm big and I'm busy. right? I got a lot of stuff that comes with me. I have two amazing adult daughters, young adult daughters who I adore. And I want to make sure that they have everything that they need. And my thing is, and I've said this before, my sis Felicia has a podcast, a Pro Mama podcast. On her, I talked about how I decided long ago that I wanted to raise my daughters to believe they breathe fire. And the best way for me to do that is to believe I breathe fire. You feel me? And if I believe I breathe fire, then I can clear the space when things get too close, when things get closed in. I can clear the space. I can make room where there is no room. I can build tables where there are no tables and sit at them, right? I can fertilize the soil and grow new, great, amazing things, possibilities. And that's to me what becoming looks like, right? It's allowing yourself to be, it's allowing yourself to hurt, it's allowing yourself to struggle, it's allowing yourself to grow. Because sometimes we can get too caught up in the struggle. I know I have. But I prefer to get more caught up in the growth, right? We like to say the glow up, right? I want to get caught up in that. I'm caught up in hope. I'm caught up in possibilities and faith and the endless opportunity to be better than yesterday. Hashtag better than yesterday. There are endless opportunities for me to be better than yesterday. And that to me is what becoming is all about. Being better than yesterday. How can I constantly do that with the lessons, utilizing the lessons that I have learned? Utilizing the lessons that I have learned through the life experiences that I have had to be better than I was then. To ensure that my tomorrow is even more glorious and glamorous and fabulous than my yesterday was. That's what becoming is to me. Yeah, that's what becoming is to me. So I'm appreciative for y'all. I love y'all. Y'all are cute. I see you. And I thank y'all for hanging out with me. Let me know. I'm happy to respond to comments and questions and ideas and about all of the things or any of the things that I've shared today. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions or comments. And I think that's about it for me today. So I appreciate y'all for listening, for hanging out with me. This is Mama Dawn, also known as Dr. Dawn, also known as Mama Omiladè. And I'm here with one of my Indigo's ideas on becoming. Y'all are wonderful. Make sure that you love yourself, love fully, because we only have this one little life and this one little body. Make sure that you eat mindfully. That's consume good ideas. Eat good foods, right? Sometimes we eating just to eat, but we got to eat to live, right? Instead of living to eat, right? And then make sure that you build community along the way. Build instead of destroy. Build with those people who are like-minded, those people who deserve your time and energy. Woo, child, did I say that? Because everybody don't deserve it. And you got to see that about you. Make sure that you put your time and energy, spend it with people who deserve it. And that's what I want you to build with. So love, eat, build. I love y'all. I want you to be out there, be good to yourselves. All right, y'all. Peace out. This is Indigo's Ideas. Right on.